chip. Guitar fetish week continues with this is an Aria Pro 2 ZZ bladerunner. Gonna be honest, kinda wanted it because it's called a bladerunner. It's called a bladerunner because it's got blade pickups in it. So this is a pretty much I'm going 85. If you're looking at Arias, serial number starts with a 5. 85. If it's made in Japan, it says made in Japan here. If it's not made in Japan, it doesn't say made in Japan here. And there is a difference. See, it's got this is the Aria smooth joint, which basically just means it's kind of a bit more angled rather than being square. Yeah, so here we go. I was talking the last guitar I did, not in any order, because it looks a bit like this was the... So this is like an Explorer, but a little bit pointier. Actually very like my West Tone Raider, because they're probably designed by the same guy. So this is a Matsumoto built 1985 guitar. As you can see, this is is it a flyer? This is a Caller flyer. So Mr. Whitesnake, when we're talking about, I'm saying your Caller's not a real Caller. This is a Caller. You do get, Caller did make ones that look like Floyd Rose's. This is the one is the classic Caller. As you can see, it's got roller saddles, which are quite cool. But the actual spring thing is inside it. There's no, it doesn't go in from the back like a Strat trem. So this, you're left with a really strange route out behind it. It's kind of built in. It's actually very similar. This is a Washburn Wonder Bar. It's a very similar thing, apart from the big thing about the Wonder Bar is the Wonder Bar, it's entirely surface mount, so you don't need to route your guitar. Basically, you can just screw this onto your Telecaster, and you get 4 screws, that's it, and it's ready to rock. But it's a similar, it's basically this, you can see it's the same, it's just a slight variation on a theme, a very similar concept, apart from, as I said, this one doesn't have the stupid routing in below it. I'm not a huge fan of the Caller. It's like a Bigsby, but it's alright. So I don't know if these are the same as the Ibanez V5s, because they look like this, but these are obviously the original pickups. I love the Matsumoto switch tips, so they're sort of square, or like square edges. Love them. I don't know if this did have a push-pull pot, or I added it to get dual coil splits. It's the sort of thing I would have done if it didn't have it. But I mean, I bought this basically because I've got the ZZB bass, which is basically the bass version of this. This one, I would rather it didn't have the Caller, and I'm not a huge fan of the blade pickups. This suffers a little bit from what my Aria Urchin suffered from. It's a Strat, and it's a Strat, and it's really, you can see that I was talking before about the Floyd Rose patent. This has got a Caller, actually that's fallen out. That was never missing before. I'm going to have to try and find that. But you can see, so there's the nut, normal nut, but then you've got this clamp thing behind it, whereas a Floyd Rose, the nut and the clamp are the same unit, but that's the licensed part. So because this is a Caller, they couldn't do that, so it's got like a separate bit. Fidgety, and is it really needed? I don't know. If I could take the Caller out this and sell it, I would. The problem with that is though you end up with a hole in it. You end up with a hole that's dead difficult to fit. It's not like, oh, I've got a Strat, the bridge is broken, I'll put another Strat bridge in, or I'll put a Floyd Rose in, or I'll put something else in just to alter it a bit. This is not. It's like it's a stupid shape that you can't put any other type of bridge on. Your only other option really is to fill in the hole and put hardtail on it, you know, or just completely reroute the guitar. Yes. So I don't actually have that much to say about this guitar. It's not saying it's not interesting. It is. It's quite carved, and I do like the Explorer shape. Does feel funny when you're playing it. An Explorer, if you've never played one, it's really weird the way there's nothing here, so the neck feels dead long. So when you're looking at it, playing it, the neck seems much longer, because if you think of a Strat, the horn goes to there, so the neck only looks that long. It's just a standard Strat scale. It's just it does. It does infuriate me a little bit the way it is a Strat though, because not that I don't love a Strat, I love a Strat, but I don't know if I want a Strat that looks like an Explorer. It does the cleans and stuff like that. For me, that this should be a heavy metal guitar, and it's kind of not. What Aria did in 1985, I used to have one called, I sold it, was an RS, but it was a Mega Metal, it was called, and it was this same idea. 1985 is the kind of turning point with Japan. 81, 82, 83 for me is the peak, when they were making the most interesting guitars, and they seem to do it. I'm talking about all the Japanese brands. By the time it got to 85, I think the price went up. Something happened with the exchange rates, and it's like 1985, 1986, you get the sort of last of the Japanese guitars, and by the time it gets to 87, there's very few left. They've all moved to Korea and are making much, much cheaper built guitars. I don't mean cheaper to buy, I mean cheaper to build. You know, gone is the fancy woods and the expensive parts. Now you've got a Samick built guitar, which is what we get now as £1,000 guitar. Not these. These are a higher grade. It's just not. Everything is just better. I don't know if they ever actually made this one. I don't know if this model ever got ever moved to Korea, the ZZ series. I know the RS did. But the problem with that Mega Metal one was, which is the same as this, what they did was they took the 1984 lineup and went, right, we need new guitars for next year. Well, we don't really want to be designing new guitars or building anything different. What if we paint it black, put blade pickups in it, and call it a Blade Runner? Bah! And it was the same with the Mega Metal one. It was like, well, what if we take the RS, put humbucker in it, and a Floyd Rose on it, and then call it a Mega Metal, paint it black and call it a Mega Metal. So there's a Night Warrior, there's some really cool named ones, but they're basically the same guitar. This is just the same as the 84, but it didn't come in black, it didn't have a colour, and it didn't say Blade Runner on it. I'll be honest, the Blade Runner thing is... Not that I think Blade Runner is my favourite film. To be honest, I don't even know if I've ever even watched all of it in one sitting. I just like disappointment of being a kid. You know what I mean? Obviously, Star Wars, Han Solo, amazing. Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, amazing. What's the other film? Blade Runner. Oh, it's a sci-fi one. This is going to be awesome. It's a bit dark and slow, and not very much happens. And you know, if you're used to Indiana Jones and Star Wars, you know, which are just pure rapid fire, super action, dead cheesy and fun, Blade Runner isn't those things. I need to watch it again. I certainly haven't watched it in many years, and even then I'm not even sure. Maybe I'll understand it now that I'm older, be a bit more into it. Yeah, so again, it's one of those things that, to be honest, this guitar, I could take that color out. I noticed that that fine tuner's a slightly different shape than the other one, so it's a replacement. The color, I could take the color out and get more money than I would get for the whole guitar with the color in it. Do I want to do that though? I don't know. The thing is, if I had to do what I was going to do with this, I would rip out the color, put in a hardtail, and I would change the pickups. I know I can't change the pickups because it's a Blade Runner. You can't have a Blade Runner with blade pickups, but these are Strat pickups. Like, they don't look it. I know they don't look it. They're just not what you expect them to be. When you split them down, it's 100% a Strat. Even when they're in humbucker mode, it's a very wide-ranging pickup. Oh, you can get the jangle and you can play clean and stuff, and it's like, this guitar, it's a Blade Runner. I just want it to go, you know what I mean? And it kind of doesn't do that. It's too good for that. Yeah. So this video probably isn't as long as the other ones. I don't have as much to say about this. I'm not as I don't love this guitar as much as I have pretty much any of the ones before. It's kind of just because I love the bass. I love the bass version of this. It's cool. It does have the problems, you know. It doesn't have a case. Well, I bought a case for it, so it does have a case, but it needs its own special case. It also needs, when you're in the studio and you decide, I'm going to go to the toilet, where do you put the guitar? You're like, so you end up just putting it on the ground, hoping no one will stand on it, because you can't lean it against the wall. obviously. It doesn't fit in stands either, unless you get, you know, one of those, a very specific stand. So, annoying, and it's huge, right? It takes up a huge amount of room, but there's very little of the guitar there. So although from here to, it's so big you can't even fit in, but from point to point, the thing is massive, but it's tiny. There's very little of it, and it weighs very little. Great performance guitar. See, it's got the truss rod goes in there, which has moved this neck pickup back a bit. It's the same as my Kraken, is the same. So when you want the neck pickup hard up against there, this is the SG position of the neck pickup, because there you go, you get your 22 frets, and then on an SG you get a wee bit of plastic, and then you get the pickup. Whereas on a Les Paul, you get 22 frets, and then the pickups here, rammed up against the edge, which is where the 24th fret should be, which is a good place to put it. Not that I'm really against it, but I do quite like. I would kind of rather it was there. I need to have a look. And I wonder. I'm thinking that the truss rod's been moved to there because, obviously, because you've got this clampy thing, you're having to take that off to get at the truss rod if the truss rod's in the top. Yeah. Again, thoroughly pro level guitar. Here's £1,000. Off you go into Anderton's or whatever. Buy a better guitar than this. You're going to get, you might get one you like better, but you're not going to get one built better. Rock on. I wonder how many of these I'm going to do. I'm not running out of steam yet. I'm quite enjoying doing it, actually. Just talking about guitars not going to thing me. I'm coming in at 10 minutes, so they're not the usual half-hour thing me fest. There are videos of these, all of these guitars I will have done. That if it was a bit cleverer and I had more time and I could be bothered, I would put, you know, the link up in the top of the video of me, you know, so you can hear it and stuff like that. But nah, I don't think I can be bothered doing that. Anyhow, rock on. I'll see you at the next guitar fetish porn site, whatever you want to call it.